Good morning, chickadoes and chickadees. Today is Wednesday, December 2nd, and this is your lesson video. All right, so we're doing the small little building blocks that helps you build your RAE, your rhetorical analysis essay. Remember, a rhetorical analysis essay is writing is an essay where you're talking about someone else's piece, right? There's essay, there's speech, their letter, their article, whatever the case is, the advertisement, the trailer. Again, you're just talking about what strategies, what techniques, what choices they made in order to achieve their purpose. Because in most cases, a rhetorical analysis piece that we focus on is argumentative. It is persuasive. They're trying to achieve something. They're trying to get something from their audience, whether it's to believe something, think something, vote on something, buy something, or the opposite, to not do. So that's what this essay does. From beginning to end, we focus on someone else's piece and we just talk about it. Okay? So the précis that you are supposed to do on Monday focuses on what are the small elements that make up that piece. We're talking about what their purpose is, what are some of their choices, why are they doing this, and then their tone. Those 4 sentences help build the entirety of this essay. Yesterday, the intro showed how we use that first sentence as our thesis statement and how we build up with that background information to that thesis statement. So now that we have the thesis statement out of the way, now we go into our body paragraphs and we actually start talking about in more detail about exactly what that writer or speaker did in their text, in their piece. So when you go into the assignment today, you have your document, which is this blue page, and telling you to watch this video today so that you can see how it goes, and just knowing that we're using our prior knowledge, our prior skill, and applying it to this new style of writing. So we're still using the T paragraph, our topic sentence, our evidence, and our analysis. We're still giving a focus for what the paragraph's going to be about, whether it's a reason or now this time a strategy that the writer used. We're still going to give our embedded evidence with APA citation, and then we're going to give our analysis, that conversation. And this conversation is going to be a little different than what we've done in the past. So when we do the topic sentence, you are focusing on what that writer did, what that speaker did in that text. Did they make reference to a personal connection? Did they make reference to someone else's personal example or personal experience? Did they bring in some data, some research, some study to prove that they're right? Did they reference someone else's, like a professional person's expertise, like a quote from somebody else? Like, this is where in that topic sentence, we just say what they did. What did they do in their piece in order to achieve their purpose? Whether it's convincing you to buy a product, to believe this, to think this, to support this particular idea or movement. We're talking about in that first topic sentence is what was that technique? What was that choice? What card did they play in order to achieve the game, to win the game? So it's a very clear, very succinct sentence, very precise, short sentence. The embedded evidence, as always, there's 3 parts: the transition, the quote, however long it is, and then the citation, giving credit to where it's due. So the transition, remember, when in doubt, you can always use in the text it says. You can jazz it up by saying in the speech she says, in the essay, in the article it says, or change it up to be a little bit more organic. As you'll see in my example, I use something along the like she shares her personal experience, or Hardcastle shares. But you need some sort of transition to lead into that evidence, because never, ever, ever do we want to see the end of the sentence, for instance, the topic sentence, period, and then you go straight into the quote. You open up those quotation marks and then you start tapping away. No, we need some sort of transition. We need some sort of movement from your words to the quote. So when in doubt, your transition can always be in the text it says. Then the quote is however long you need it to be. If it's one phrase, one sentence, 5 sentences, again, as much of the text that you need to prove your point that that was the strategy that the writer speaker used in their piece. That was a card, the choice that they made, that they did share their personal experience, that they did share data or an expert's opinion on this topic. We just need the quote. So now we need the citation, and I hope you notice that there's a difference. All this time we've been using MLA. Okay? That's what we use for literature when we're dealing with poetry, short stories, novels, plays, because usually more often than not, we're dealing with a book and we put the author's last name and we put the page number that we found it. When we're not dealing with books, more often than not, when we're dealing with expository text, nonfiction text, pieces that are real, articles, we're doing some sort of research. Now we move into APA, when we're doing more of a digital search. So the way I remember MLA is L literature, short stories, poems, novels, plays. APA, A articles. We're dealing with articles on the web. And the most important part about that when we use APA is the year that it is published, because it tells us how recent this piece is. Is it the brand new up-to-date information, or is it so brand new that we can't trust it? We think about research, they do a study over 1 year. Well, a 10-year study has a little bit more credibility. So if this was 10 years ago, or again, we're looking at years. And when I do my example, when I share my example, I'll show you what an APA citation looks like. And it's not that different from the MLA that we've been working with before. But embedded evidence, transition, your quote, and your citation. The analysis is the conversation. You're still explaining like we've done before. You're still talking to me about why you're right. But this time, you're going to talk about why you think the writer did that. Why did they share their personal experience? Why did they share a real life scenario that happened to somebody else? Why are they bringing in this outside source, this expert in the fields, their testimony, their thoughts, their quote about this? Why did they share that study, that fact and figures, those statistics, that percentage? Like, why? Have a conversation of why would that writer speaker play that card to win the game? So your goal today is to write one body paragraph talking about one of the choices your speaker made in the article that you chose. So for those of you who did the Précis for me on Monday, and it's already been graded, and you did a good job, you can pick any one of those ideas from sentence 2, because sentence 2 is the body of our essay. Every single tactic that you place there, that first they did this, and second they did that, and next they did this, and finally they shared this. Every single one of those ideas, those choices, are body paragraphs. You would just talk about each one individually and to more detail and have a conversation about that one specific choice. So that's what I love about the Précis, is that the Précis builds the essay. Sentence 1 is our thesis. Sentence 2 and 4, because you can talk about tone, how the tone that they chose helps them achieve their purpose, are our body paragraphs. And we can definitely utilize sentence 3 as our conclusion. But we'll hit that tomorrow. All we're focusing on is sentence 2 of our Précis, and we are looking at how that builds a body paragraph for us. So all I want from you today is one paragraph. If you want to go for more, you have an option to talk about the other topics, such as the second strategy that you listed in sentence 2, the third strategy that you listed in sentence 2, the fourth strategy that you listed in sentence 2. And you can also talk about how the tone, the choice of tone, because that was on purpose, their choice of tone helped achieve their purpose and what they're trying to get across in their speech. And so you have an option of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 body paragraphs, but I just need one. So I want to record another video focusing on my teacher example and what that looks like for you. All right? I love you. Have a good day and make good choices.